What's going on, everybody? It's Afro Think Tank. Former right wing radio host explains and exposes why Republicans, conservative Republicans, MAGA, the people who used to be against limited government and always talking about Second Amendment tyranny and all that stuff, and why they are certainly all about the militarization of the police, and why they're certainly all about big government, and why they're certainly all about the federal government interfering in state affairs. He explains it perfectly. He's an insider. And another white guy is going to explain how he feels about the situation. And another white guy is going to come up with the best solution that all of us as Americans could do, well, but mainly just, the European Americans out there protesting, the alternative and the only thing that will actually work to fight against this tyrannical government. So without further ado, this Afro Think Tank, learn something, teach something. I'm out.
This is one I've been thinking about for a while. My alarm's going to go off because it's going to go over time and I'm on my break. And I need to get back to work here. But I've been thinking to myself, because I was a right-wing wacko conservative radio talk show host for over 25 years of my life. I'm almost 55. And I was a very, very antagonistic right-wing radio talk show host. And I remember when I was against big government. I remember conservatives back in the early 90s, mid 90s, late 90s, 2000s. We were afraid of what's happening now. We were so afraid of tyrannical government taking over the United States of America, our own government. We feared our own government. But I guess we feared it at the hands of a Bill Clinton or an Obama or a Biden. And it's been bothering me because I'm wondering, what happened to Republicans? What happened to conservatives? We used to fear what Trump's doing right now, militarizing the police, militarizing ICE, militarizing all this stuff. We were worried about that. So get a load of this. I hope you'll stay to the end. Let me know if you did. A former FBI undercover agent just exposed something wild about far-right groups, and it's honestly terrifying. For decades, these anti-government militia groups operated in the shadows, right? They used to detest the federal government. They detested the feds. I remember, and I was one of them. I called them jackbooted thugs. I was alive for Ruby Ridge and Waco. I remember where I was on a college campus watching the television as the United States government went in and burned Waco down. Some of you weren't even alive. Some of you don't even know what that is. But something changed. That was under Bill Clinton, by the way. And we were fearful that Bill Clinton was using the military and forces like that against its own citizens. Mike German, who worked undercover for the FBI through the late 80s, 90s, and early 2000s, said he used to call them anti-government militants. That's my alarm. I knew it was going to go off. But around Trump's first administration, he realized that wasn't accurate anymore. So Trump's first administration, 2016 to 2020, they became Trump supporters. They became pro-militarized police. They became pro-state, pro-heavy federal government. The same people who were warning about jackbooted federal thugs kicking in our doors are now cheering them on, kicking in our doors. I'm glad somebody else is validating this because I thought I was in an alternate reality, an alternate universe. A Georgetown law professor put it perfectly. She said it's not surprising that people are fine with police, even militarized police, cracking heads when it's people they don't like, but not okay with it when it's people that they sympathize with. And I've been saying this all along. I've been saying this. And then to hear, experts and FBI informants and law professors and all these college professors, they're just letting me know I'm not crazy. So here's the pattern. The Southern Poverty Law Center confirmed that when there's a Democratic administration, these so-called patriot groups grow. When there's a Republican administration they agree with, they shrink, they pull back. They're more in the shadows and on the periphery. So they're not anti-government. They're just anti-government that they're not in control of. I've been saying this. Laura Ingraham, I used to work for Fox for 7 years. I'm not a fan of Laura Ingraham. I never have been, and I'm not now. Laura Ingraham called IRS agents under Biden the new Gestapo. But under Trump, she said it's borderline illegal to even criticize ICE agents. She said that. The hypocrisy is stunning. It's unbelievable. These groups are not about principles at all. They're about power. Don't you ever forget that. And now they feel that one of their own is in charge. They know he's in charge. So now federal law enforcement, militarized police, militarized thugs on the streets with barely any trainings and big pew-pews and wearing masks. That's suddenly fine for the right wing, for MAGA. They're totally fine with it because their guy is in the White House calling all the moves. So the danger isn't about left versus right anymore. It's about who gets to wield government force and against whom they're going to wield that force against. And that should terrify you. It explains why MAGA is such a hypocritical group of voters right now. Because this is the stuff, and I remember it. They don't want you to hear from people like me because I was not one of them, but close to being one of them. I was as right-wing as many people could get. And I was on the radio. I was like a Charlie Kirk on talk radio. I was on the airwaves. He was doing a podcast. He was doing college campuses. I was doing talk radio around the country. 7 years for Fox News. And I remember being so against government doing what it's doing today. And I was wondering what happened to the Republican Party, what happened to conservatives, and now we know. When it's their guy in power, and as long as they're kicking in doors and knocking in skulls that are the doors and the skulls of people they don't like, they're totally for it. Let government get as big and as aggressive and as militaristic as it wants to be as long as their guy is in power.
I can't tell you much about what happened because I am trying to protect the people involved, but they came after one of mine today. They came after one of my people, one of my loved ones. And the distinction between mine and yours shouldn't matter. And I know that. I know that because I thought that I was in it. I thought that I cared as much as I could care because I have been in it this whole time. And it wasn't enough. And now as I sit here, I realize that I needed to be in it more. That I have more to give. That I can care more. And I can hate myself for that. I can feel really fucking shitty that it took it hitting home to get me to this level, but this is just human nature. You know, it's like when you become a parent and you realize that you can love to a degree that you didn't think that you could before. It's not that you weren't loving all that you knew how to. It's that something else opens up inside you, and it's like that, but for rage, for unyielding rage. And and now I know. Now I know that this is possible. Now I know that I can feel like this, and this is how I'm going to feel forever until ICE is abolished. You understand? And here's the thing. It's gonna be you someday, if it isn't already. You're gonna feel like this. And it's okay if you don't feel like this now, or it's okay if you think you feel like this, and it just hasn't happened yet. That's okay. But just know this is your future. is this anger. This is your future. So with that in mind, how are you going to prepare for that? How are you going to connect? How are you going to organize? Because you can just logically understand that this is how you are going to feel. Okay? You are going to want some amount of infrastructure. You are going to want some amount of resources. You are going to want some amount of help when you are feeling like this. And fortunately, you don't have to feel like this to get all of that set up. Okay? So go ahead and do that. And thank me later.
We only have one peaceful option left. I don't think we're going to make it to midterms, so we have to do this soon. Everybody keeps asking what they can do. Well, I may have a solution, somebody may have a better idea, but this is what I got. I don't normally ask people to like and share videos, but I'm going to ask you here on this one to get it to the people who can organize this and get it where it needs to go. The people with the big platforms, some of the other groups that can actually organize an official date and time to kick this thing off, okay? So that's out of the way. What I want you to do is nothing. And if all of us do nothing together, we can make a difference. The game only works when people play it. And so we opt out. We pick a date. I have one in mind already, coming up relatively soon. We got to get the word out. And we don't go to work. We don't go to school. We don't put gas in our cars. We don't eat at restaurants. We do nothing. We stay home. That's about as peaceful as you can get. You don't have to do anything, and you can still make a difference. So cops stay home, firefighters stay home, restaurant workers stay home. Everybody stays home that physically can. There's a few jobs that I won't mention here, but they know who they are, that they have to go to work. Like, for everybody, they have to go to work. Everybody else, we're staying home. We're not doing a damn thing. Now, it shouldn't take too long of doing nothing for the whole thing to come grinding to a halt. Will people lose their jobs? Yes, that's going to happen. Are there going to be consequences? Yeah, some foreseen, some unforeseen. But the consequences from this are far less severe than if we allow this to continue the way it's going. So again, like and share, or just share, I don't care about the like part. If you think this is a good idea, get it to the people that can make this happen, right? Get it to the people who can pick a date and a time so we can have the most peaceful demonstration of doing nothing ever.
Free Sudan! Boycott diamonds and gold! Free Sudan! Boycott diamonds and gold! We most definitely cannot forget about the people of Sudan!
Thanks for watching Afro Think Tank. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. And follow me on Substack and Patreon for more content. Remember, it's Pan-Africanism or nothing.